and then she got this sharp pain in her eye, and then it traveled to her mouth and her cheek and her leg, and we tried everything under the sun and then some, everything. And some things made it better, but nothing really helped 100%. And then we got the patches. So my mom is very diligent, and she put them on. And she asked me, can I put one on my face? Because her face is very painful. I said, sure, try it. The very next day, she told me her pain was gone. And we've been, she got to the point where, like, she was losing hope. You talked about hope, right? She was losing hope. And she was talking about, well, I'm 93. I don't want to live with this pain. I lived a long life. It's the first time she was talking about this. But now she talks about she renewed her driver's license for 2 more years. And she gave me her phone because she told me I have to text all of her friends to tell them about these patches because they all need to use them.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Talk about changing the quality of your mom's life, Susan. Thank you so much. Let's go to, is Peter here? Peter, are you here? Peter? Peter Kong, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you're here, Peter. Tell us your story. I know you don't have much time, so I'm so thankful that you came. What happened with you and your mother?
Well, first, can I talk about how I encountered it first?
I would love it. Yes, please.
Okay, because I didn't just put it on my mom. First of all, I'm very skeptical about all of these kinds of things. And in 2022, I got COVID in about October, and I had long COVID. Like, it wouldn't go away. Like, even after the bad part of it left, I never got better. Like, I just had fevers and constantly, and I had to pop aspirin all the time, and that just went on for months. It felt like, no, I'm sorry, not months, weeks. It just kept going. And I had to travel, and I went to India for business, and then I went to go work in Panama, and not feeling well. And I did everything. I mean, I got the new vaccine, and I got vitamin drip therapy and all kinds of things. I was trying everything to try to get better, and basically there was no answer for it. And then when I was in Panama, I met a friend of mine, a common friend of ours named Marcy. And Marcy said, oh, I have something for you. And she plopped the patch on me. I told her what I was dealing with, and she put the patch on me. And I felt like this buzzing thing right away, and I couldn't explain it. And then the next day, I just felt better. Like, I felt like a normal person again. And so, after that, I was kind of just like on and off about it. But I just kept doing it. And then my mom, a year later, fell and had hip surgery, and she was in rehab for 80 days and just got out. I got out before Thanksgiving of this past Thanksgiving, and she requires round-the-clock home care, and she was not getting up and walking, and actually she was going the other way, and I was quite concerned about her. So I put the patch on her, and at first it was just kind of like put it on and hope something happens, but I wasn't doing 12 on, 12 off. And then I talked to Marcy, and they recommended I do 12 on, 12 off with her, and I did that. And what I can say now is that she went from a place where I was really concerned that she was heading in the wrong direction because she was just losing energy and she was not up and walking at all, to now, I visit her. I'm here right now with my parents. We're about to do our exercise. She walks on the walker with assistance, like 20 yards. And we do exercises together, and her energy is much better. And that's after I did the 12 on, 12 off with her consistently. That was the result.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Peter. I know that when Peter says he likes something, know that it really works, because if it didn't work, he would not be using it, and he would, that's just who the man he is.
And I definitely wouldn't be on here talking about it for sure. I'm on here talking about it because Marcy asked me to talk about it, and because it worked, and that's the only reason.
That's the only
Otherwise,
reason.
I'd not do this.
He would hate this. He would. So that's a big deal. And some of you have asked what patches. I know Peter is using X39, and he's just going to start using Eon as well for Mom, because she has a little bit of inflammation and pain.
Arthritis.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what patches Susan had been using for herself and her mom. I know some people have asked that. Susan, did you want to unmute real quick? Just X39 only, and we'll talk about some of the other patches later on as well, because David Schmidt has been inventing products since 2004, and of course X39 are stem cell activation patches, the workhorse of the line, but there's some other pretty amazing patches that go nicely together. And Peter, thank you so much for sharing and saying yes today. Yeah, I'm sure your testimonial will help a lot of people today. So thank you. Susan, Susan, did you want to share what patches you had been using for yourself and your mom?
For my mom, X39 and Eon. And we just started her on the Alavita one because we're going to age her skin backwards too. And I just typing out a note here.
Oops, you're muted again. Sorry.
I'm typing out a note in the chat, so
okay,
you can read that too.
Perfect. Okay, and let's go to Dr. Susan. Dr. Susan, are you here? I believe you're on. Are you here still, doctor? And that would be Dr. Susan. I don't know. Did she have to go? Maybe. Are you here, Susan? Bob, do you see Susan?
I do not.
Okay. Well, if she comes back on, I know she comes in and out. She might have had to go back to the office. So we'll definitely have Dr. Susan next time. Maybe you could text her and see if she can pop back on real quick. But let's go ahead and go. Janet, are you here? Would you like to share what happened to you, Janet?
Yes, I'm here, Marcy.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I started about 6 weeks ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago. And when I started, I was in pretty dire straits. I had actually been dizzy for about 2.5 years, and I had to do what my sponsor calls counter surfing. What I was doing in my kitchen is I would have to hang on to one counter and turn very slowly, headed towards the other counter, and then just kind of shuffle over to the other counter because I was so fearful of falling. And then on day 3, I actually woke up in the morning and was able to walk through my entire apartment without hanging on to anything. And then I also need to have cataract surgery because I'm almost blind in my right eye. And I now, the film that I had felt over that right eye has really started lifting. And then another benchmark that I've been using is my blood pressure. I've always had high blood pressure for probably 15 to 20 years. And I now, for the first time, have normal blood pressure readings. And then lastly, about 9 days into patching, I actually was able to walk around my entire apartment complex, which is about a mile around. So I'm totally sold.
A mile around, and I hear you getting a little emotional because Janet, really couldn't even, you have to understand when she says that she had to hold on to things to walk. She was so dizzy, she had to hold on to furniture to get around the house. She went from that to walking a whole mile around her complex. I mean, Janet, you got your freedom back.
I sure did.
So I love to share these stories because they're so different, right? Janet's story is different than Peter's story, which is different than Susan's story. And that reminds you that the stem cell army is your army. It was just old. So X39 makes it young again. That's what GHK copper peptide does. That peptide has the ability to tell your stem cells to work like they're young again, like they're just baby young little stem cells. And it's amazing what happens when you can generate all your old issues with young baby stem cells. And here's the good news. They're yours. We're just making yours young again. And I do see Susan. Are you there, Dr. Susan? I see you.
Yes, I sorry, I was on a call a minute ago. Somebody called in while I was listening to the other testimonies. So this is great.
I'm so glad you're here. So this is Dr. Susan. She is a ophthalmologist, which is different than an optometrist. I mean, she actually does eye, I don't think I can say the word, but eye critical issues and surgery. And Dr. Susan, maybe you could tell me your story, but also why are you recommending it to your patients?
Okay, excellent. Thank you for the opportunity. So I basically saw a patch on Bionic Bob a while back, and I said, what is that? He started telling me, and for my own situation, I'm not having chronic pain issues like some of these other folks on the call, but I did have a place where I sprained a muscle in my back, and I had taken a fall about a year ago. Nothing was broken. I didn't have a disc or anything like that, but it was just chronic little ache. And so I started taking the patches. I noticed that was better. I thought, oh my goodness. And I read up for a presentation to one of our medical societies about how this works with stimulating the infrared and the near infrared region in your own body and using light energy that you have to manufacture these younger peptides and help with healing and whatnot. So I started really looking at this and started thinking about who could really benefit from this aside from people who are dealing with chronic pain and other things. And I thought, I treat a lot of chronic diseases. I do medical and surgical treatment of the eye. And one of the challenges for me as a treating doctor is glaucoma. It's a relentless disease. It affects people of all ages, old and young. And the younger people, sometimes it's much worse for them because they have a lifetime to work and exist, and then their vision is going out. We've got so many medications, so many finite surgical procedures we can do. And aside from that, we're kind of limited. So I started thinking outside the box. If this is helping stem cells to be younger and to help us heal, could we not use this as an adjunct to medical therapy? And I make this very clear to these patients I speak to. It is not in replacement at all for surgery or for glaucoma drops, for example, or for other conditions that they might have, inflammation. But it would help them. And I have several young glaucoma patients that I'm putting on this just as they're just going to use it to see what happens, because I think this is the medicine of the future, using quantum physics, things that are outside our total realm of understanding to help us improve and do better. And I put several people on this for various things. They've all reported similar experiences, that they feel better, they're doing well, that kind of thing. So it's really remarkable technology. And I'm looking forward to what it can do. There's several ones that are good for organs, and there's some that are specific for the eye and things of that nature. And I'm just going to keep trying to study whatever I can so that I'm offering the best option for the patients, because I believe in it. It works for me and it works for other people. And everybody that's tried it has reported a positive experience of some sort.
Well, doctor, I love that. And I know you were talking about the patches for the eye, and I would say, I think from what you told me last week, you're utilizing X39, our stem cell activation patch, EON, to reduce inflammation. And inflammation actually loves to eat new baby stem cells. So when you reduce inflammation, you turbocharge your stem cell repair. And then, of course, carnosine, which is supporting of every organ in the body, including the eye. I believe that's what we talked about, correct, last week?
Yes, that is. Yeah, and that's how I would position it.
Yeah. And a lot of times people with eye issues, they'll wear X39 and EON right below the back of the neck, and they'll wear carnosine right next to their eye when they go to sleep at night. And remember, the patches are 12 hours on and 12 hours off, but every patch has its own 12-hour clock. So you can wear some patches 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and some patches 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And so you can rotate those around. Doctor, thank you so much for sharing and being a progressive healthcare practitioner that believes in many tools in the box to help us. So that's wonderful. So now,
Thank you for the opportunity, Marcy, to enlighten